make sure you subscribe, or I'm gonna recycle all of your technology. Hello interwebs and welcome back. I'm Shanna and this is where I share my life and stories and images and opinions and whatever else I feel like. And today I am working in collaboration with MrBeast and possibly thousands of other creators to help plant 20 million trees. Now that is a lot of trees, and if you want to know how you can help, you can check out teamtrees.org. The link will be in the description below, or you can just put it in your little search bar. Basically, any donation helps. You can also share it with your friends and maybe get them to help. $1, 100 yen, the smallest amount, because for every $1 or 100 yen donated, you're gonna get one tree planted, which is amazing. Now, stay tuned to the end of the video to find out some other tips on how you can help the environment. Also, if you're just here lurking, or you're not subscribed, or it's your first time here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the tea. Before I came to Japan, and specifically before I did this research, I had this perception of Japan that I'm sure a lot of other people have too, as it being this sort of mecca for not only technology, but environmental awareness. And boy, was I wrong. Now, that's not to say Japan doesn't do some things right. It definitely does, and it's definitely made its strides and improvements, but it has a long way to go. And you're gonna find out why. Upon moving to Japan, I very quickly realized how absolutely insane the recycling system is here. Some places have basically small books on the rules that you have to follow in order to properly recycle your items in your house, which makes it not only confusing for foreigners, but also confusing for some Japanese people. And it also, in a way, makes it a little bit discouraging, because when you get that red sticker on your trash saying, hey, you did it wrong and we're not accepting your trash, it's embarrassing. It's so complicated. And I definitely think that it's something that needs to be simplified in a way that is easier for both foreigners and Japanese people to understand what exactly they need to be doing. Now, whether that needs to be done in the system itself or within the packaging, I don't know, but something needs to change there. Not to mention Japan's obsession with hygiene, which is strange because I see so many people who don't wash their hands here, even during flu season, as well as their obsession with omotenashi, which is this like culturally charged idea of customer service, which in a lot of ways is great. But these things combined lead to, you guessed it, everything being wrapped in plastic. I mean, everything. You go to the bakery, they wrap each individual piece of bread that you buy in plastic, and then they put it all in a big plastic bag. I went grocery shopping the other day, and let me show you. I was saving this because I wanted to show you guys. These apples wrapped in plastic. Like, why is this necessary? There are places where you can buy individual apples, but they're hella expensive and it's not affordable. Whereas I can buy 4 apples for 400 yen basically, but it's in a plastic container wrapped in more plastic. Why? If you buy or order any pre-made food anywhere, you are handed disposable chopsticks, if not also a disposable spoon. Now, this may seem harmless, but it's actually really bad for the environment as well. In fact, Japan is the leading user of disposable chopsticks, with 24 billion pairs of disposable chopsticks being used and disposed of every year. That is more than half of what China produces in 1 year. That means that you and I, whoever else is in Japan, use around 200 pairs of disposable chopsticks in a year, which is absolutely insane. And not to mention, in China, a group of universities band together and collected 82,000 sets of chopsticks that had been disposed of around Beijing. From these discarded chopsticks, they were able to build 4 trees that were 16 feet tall from 82,000 chopsticks. So, I decided to do a little math for you. Basically what it comes down to is the number of disposable chopsticks thrown away in Japan equates to us being able to create 1,170,731.71 trees that are 16 feet tall each. That's absurd. I literally, when I did this math, my brain just went, that's a lot of trees. And let's not even factor in the amount of emissions put into the environment from not only manufacturing those chopsticks, but shipping them. Also, Japan alone uses 40 billion plastic bags. That means that each person in Japan uses anywhere from 300 to 400 plastic bags a year that end up disposed of somehow. While Japan produces 9 million tons of waste a year, it does boast that 86% of that is recycled, 8% of that is burned, and only 6% of that is sent to landfills, which sounds great, right? Also, side note, 72% of PET bottles, which are the big plastic bottles, are recycled. Why it's not 100%? I don't know, because that's the easiest thing to recycle. So what's the problem with these numbers, you're asking, I'm sure. Around 58% of the recycled plastics in Japan are sent through a process called thermal recycling, which basically means that these plastics are being burned in order to be used for heating and electricity. 14% of the plastics are exported by the private sector to smaller Asian countries where there is no process or means for us to track what happens to those plastics. They could be being recycled, they could be being burned, they could be put in landfills, or they could even end up in the ocean. We don't know. And only 14% of the recycled products are actually recycled in Japan and most likely turned into other products. Now, Japan does claim that it has a high-tech incineration process that helps to filter out the harmful diotoxins that go into the environment during the incineration process. But regardless, burning plastics made of fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which contributes to global warming. And yes, global warming is real. Now, there are many studies out there showing Japan's plastic problem, including, but not limited to, 80% of the anchovies in Tokyo Bay being found to have plastic in them, and 3 million plastic bags being found in Osaka Bay. Statistics show that Japan consumes more plastic than the EU and China, but less than the US. However, Japan does have 200 million or so fewer people than the US, and it is much smaller in size, so I would say that consuming less plastic than the US isn't that great of a feat. There are 29 endangered animals in Japan, 33 endangered birds, and 537 endangered plants. What? Now, I was not aware of this at all, and while Japan's smog and air pollution has decreased drastically since the 1970s, apparently Japan is having problems with acid rain and air pollution throughout the entire country. Like, that's ridiculous. Now, luckily, Japan's parks and wildlife are protected by the National Parks Law of 1967, and many of Japan's forests are protected by the Nature Conservation Law of 1972, with many areas of Japan having been reforested. If you watched in a previous video of mine where I talked about the 20 things you need to know before coming to Japan, I was saying how it's really difficult to find trash cans and recycling bins here, but Japan has recently moved to help try and install more recycling bins throughout the country, which is wonderful. And they're also working on sciences to help develop more biodegradable materials, which will be cheaper and more readily available. Another thing that they're working on is promoting cleanup of rivers and lakes and oceans and beaches throughout Japan, which is amazing because if you've been following me for a while, you've seen me complain a million times of watching people just literally throw trash in the rivers here. Like, no regard at all. So promoting that cleanup is amazing, and I actually like to go out sometimes and just pick up trash along the river. Sometimes I try and drag my friends with me, sometimes they don't want to come, but it's important and it's really helpful to the environment. So other than going out and cleaning up your lakes and your beaches and your rivers and whatever other water sources are nearby, what are some other ways that we as individuals can help? Here's a quick list that I came up with of easy things you can do. Number 1, like I said in the beginning of the video, you can donate to teamtrees.org. Even just sharing this video or sharing that link with your friends is a major help as well, but $1 goes a long way. That's one tree for $1, or here in Japan, 100 yen. Number 2, when you travel, offset your carbon emissions. I travel a lot, as you can see from my YouTube and my Instagram and my Twitter, but when you travel, there are lots of organizations that you can go to, pay a little bit of money, and they will plant some trees for you because of your traveling. And if that's, you know, too minduksai for you, just go to teamtrees.org whenever you're traveling. Donate there. Do it. Number 3. Bring a bag with you wherever you go. A teeny tiny one is okay, in your own purse or your merce or your pocket or whatever, so that way you can avoid using plastic bags, especially when you're hitting up the convenies here. A really good phrase for you to know when you go to the convenience store or the grocery store or wherever, if you don't want or need a bag, you can just say fukuro irimasen. Fukuro irimasen. Fukuro irimasen. Which basically means I don't need a bag. That is the easiest one, I think, to memorize. You can put it in your phone, you can just show it to them, whatever you want to do. But remember that phrase, stop using plastic bags if you don't need to. Number 4. Use a reusable water bottle or coffee mug wherever and whenever you can. That's not to say I don't buy plastic bottles when I'm out at the convenience store and I want a tonic water or lemon whatever, but try. Even just a little bit helps. You don't have to be a perfect human. You don't have to constantly use your reusable water bottle. You don't have to constantly do these things, but even just a little bit goes a long way. Try. Do your best. That's all we're saying. Number 5, metal straws and portable utensil cases like these ones, or even smaller ones, are amazing. Not only does that avoid using plastic straws and putting them into the ocean and whatever other places that are not good for the environment, but you're not going to be using the disposable chopsticks or spoons or anything else because you have your own little set here. And they're super easy. Like I said, there are even smaller containers than this one that you can find, and you can just carry it with you. It's so easy. Number 6, and probably the most obvious one, recycling. Recycling is sometimes annoyingly difficult here in Japan when you don't know the rules or when you don't understand them. And I understand that it can be annoying and difficult in other places too, but it is so important to at least try, which is the theme of all of these tips that I am giving you. Try, do your best. There's zero excuse to ever throw a can or a plastic bottle especially in the trash. Zero excuse, especially in Japan. Number 7, don't be so frivolous with your clothing. Now, this sounds really strange, but it's kind of insane when you look at the numbers how much clothing waste can actually contribute to negative effects within the environment. So, trust me, nobody cares if you wear the same outfit on Instagram a few times. Nobody cares. You don't need a new outfit for every day of the year. And if you do want to change it a little bit, just mix it around or modify it in some way. Do whatever you need to do. But please, you don't need it. You don't need a new clothing outfit for every day. Number 8, and also probably one of the easiest ones, don't litter. Stop that shit. Like, it doesn't kill you to carry your trash around for a little bit longer and then find somewhere to dispose of it properly. Don't litter. Our Earth is so important, our planet is so important, and we only get one of them, so we should treat it right. These small little things will make a huge difference. Some of them are easier than others, but you don't have to be perfect and constantly make sure you are doing 100% of the right things all the time, because that's impossible. No human is perfect, but if we all try and do our best and contribute in small ways, and especially don't litter, it'll make a huge difference. MrBeast, this was a wonderful idea. I'm sure it brought together a ton of YouTubers as well as the community, and I really hope that we can start making a difference today. But that pretty much wraps it up for this one. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you don't know what to comment down below, you can leave some little tree emojis. Not only does that help out my channel a lot, but it lets me know that you were here. It gives us a chance to chat, and I love to see your faces down there. If you want another way to help out my channel, down below there are links to my merch store as well as my Patreon. There's zero obligation to check those out, but if you want to, you can. And make sure you subscribe, or I'm gonna recycle all of your technology. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye! There are 29 endangered beaches and whatever water sources are. How long has that been that way? sometimes just